Hi, I'm Daniel Boy. Welcome to the front row and welcome to our very first podcast, Green is the New Black. Today we're going to be talking about sustainability. That is front and center of what we all believe in at the front row. Before we start introducing our guests, I'm going to read you a short paragraph from Zerin.com. Textile and garment production produces about 1.2 billion tons of CO2 per year. That's more than shipping and international flights combined. And that doesn't even include all the packaging, marketing, and shipping to get your latest order to you. According to McKinsey and Company, the average person buys 60% more items of clothing than they did 15 years ago and keeps them for half as long. What's more, we wear a huge proportion of synthetic clothes. Now, synthetics are cheaper for this to produce and they don't break down, meaning they stick around in a landfill for hundreds of years. It is especially alarming when you consider the rate of consumption is projected to rise by 63% by 2030. The fashion industry employs thousands of garment workers, largely women aged 18 to 35, in developing countries like India, Cambodia, China, and Vietnam, many of whom are still not earning a living wage and working in terrible conditions. Now you know why we need to take the love of our earth more seriously. And with that, I'd like to introduce my three very special guests for today. The first is Stephanie Dixon. Stephanie, why don't you tell our listeners what you do?
I'm really excited. It's so funny because we used to work together when I was in fashion. But now I run a company called Green is the New Black. And basically, we're on a mission to make conscious living mainstream and accessible. So we look at doing events, conscious festivals, and we have a media platform. We also design experiences and do community building all around understanding that sustainability is a journey. We're all on it together. And if we just break down these complicated issues, we can take little green steps and remove overwhelm that typically comes with this topic.
It's a fantastic thing you're doing, Stephanie. And you know what? You were the first to do it, and it's always difficult to take that first step. So thank you very much for doing this. We have a fashion designer from Australia, Jude. Jude, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Hi, how are you? Yes, I'm Jude, my self-titled label, and we do unisex clothing, which is all handmade in Melbourne. So we use natural fibers mainly, and all ethical manufacture, and all manufactured locally.
Great, fantastic, Jude. I think a lot more designers can learn from you, and hopefully they will in the future. Our third guest is an accessory designer. You first saw his stuff at our opening show, the Jin Lee times the Kang Fashion Show, which opened the Front Row Festival. His name is the Kang. He needs no introduction, but you know what, Kang? Why don't you tell those the undiscovered fans of yours, what you do?
So hi everyone, my name is Kang, also known as the Kang. So I mainly make accessories and I'm working very extensively with upcycling plastic bags. So I take these plastic bags that have been donated to me by people all around Singapore and then I fuse them into this leather that I'm making all sorts of things with, like bags, earrings, homewares, like even lighting as well. So there's just lots of opportunities with this plastic that I'm working with.
And can I tell you, Kang does the most amazing things. If you had watched the Jin Lee and Kang show, all the accessories that looked like they were made of reptile skin, leather, were all upcycled from plastic bags that you found in the supermarket. All right, let's delve deep into our topic. There's a lot of stuff to discuss today. Let's start off with Stephanie. Um, Now, the word sustainability has been bandied around a lot. People have been talking about sustainability, but what exactly does sustainability mean?
Yeah, it's not an easy question to start with. There's so many different definitions, especially when it comes to different industries of what that really means. But I guess there's a few different ways you can look at it. For us, we kind of step back and look at it as, understanding that our decisions not only impact us, but our surroundings and the environment. So that's sort of like our any activity that basically helps to avoid damage to the planet, but is also not exploiting human and human resource. This really is kind of the definition, the broad definition of sustainability. So it's,
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, so to put it in layman terms, sustainability is an umbrella term for an activity that encourages the avoidance of depleting natural resources. It also ensures that no exploitation of human resources are there to maintain an ecological balance within an ethical framework. Now, I got that from Com. Okay, Stephanie, why should we go green?
I think the question is actually, why should we not go green? At this stage, we are all on this planet together, and it is all of our responsibility to try and stay that we can. And I think now, people understanding of climate change, or at least, being on the fringe of understanding of these topics, the planet is under a lot of strain and pressure. Here's crazy stats like there's going to be more plastic in our oceans than fish by 2050, or that fashion's one of the most polluting industries in the world, that the UN coming out and saying that we have 11 years to avoid climate catastrophe.
Mm.
Small things, it's a massive issue that we're talking about here. We're also talking about our very survival, and these are things that we're going to be seeing within our lifetime. And so I think the more prudent question is, why shouldn't we all be going green and doing it a lot faster than we are?
Is that why you started the Conscious Festival? Green is the New Black.
Yeah, so I used to work in fashion, as you know, Daniel. We used to run fashion festivals together in Singapore, and it was really my dream job. Something I always wanted to work in. But then when I found out that how polluting fashion was, and also how socially corrupt it is, really just like basically modern day slave labor, I really so I decided to quit and figure out, how I could be part of the solution instead of the problem. That led me on a big, rabbit hole, pathway, and basically, allowed me to figure out that there's a lot of brands doing really good work, and I wanted to share that, and I wanted to share the journey and show people that it didn't have to be complicated, and it could be easy, and you could be part of a community, and you can just do little bits every day, but be on the right trajectory. And so that's really how Green is New Black was birthed, and the Conscious Festivals was a place for people to come together to learn in a fun way that was cool and didn't really feel like a sustainability event.
What were the challenges that you faced when you started Green is the New Black? Because it was groundbreaking for its time. It was the first thing a lot of people hadn't started discussing that topic of being responsible, of sustainability. Did you encounter a lot of problems, and how did you overcome them?
I think it was more because I spoke a lot, and obviously sustainability, and especially my friends were like, what is this conscious thing you're doing, stuff like, what do you mean you're in sustainability now? Like, I don't get it. Why do you care? And I think I just had a lot of people who really just couldn't understand why this was so important and why it had such an epiphany, and just couldn't understand how it could relate to their lives, and they just weren't interested. And then I think knew me. And I think in the beginning, as always, when you're trying something new, it's hard, especially when it's something new that people don't understand. There was a lot, that was quite a big uphill battle, but I was just passionate about and learning about all these new brands and doing something that was new and different and that Singapore hadn't really, I couldn't find here. I just knew that there would be other people out there that were struggling, looking for information and other people to have this conversation about, but didn't want to be made to feel a bad person or a bad human for the decisions we were making. I wanted it to be more empowering, positive, and something that, yeah, we could, have more fun with, because it's really, it's such a heavy topic and there's so much eco anxiety and overwhelm. You need to bring it back to having more of an adventure, seeing it as the part that we're trying to play.
Wow, I mean that's really noble of you, and I think we need more people like you, Stephanie, to lead the way, because it is important, and the way our Earth is going right now, I think it's more important now than ever to spread the sustainability message and for all of us to be responsible. So speaking of being the first, I'm going to direct the next question to both our designers, Jude and Kang. You were one of the first to embark on this sustainability platform. But of course, Jude being in Australia, there are a lot of other people who had already paved the path before you. What were each of your individual challenges, and was it difficult to get people to understand your message? Let's start with Jude.
Yes, I think for me, yeah, finding my voice as a designer and finding my style and being unisex and trans-seasonal, I think came quite naturally, because especially with Melbourne's weather and the layering that we do, it's all very organic and it just comes naturally to us. I think the challenge for me was in a local manufacturer, and because we do everything ethically and it's not cheap, and getting the right price points to our customers is always a challenge. But I think with the right messages and the right marketing to help to educate them on why our product is priced as it is, and focusing on the detail and the quality, I think yeah, it's definitely come a long way since I first started out.
Why did you decide to go the eco-friendly route, knowing that you had all these obstacles and it wasn't gonna be an easy journey? Why did you decide to go down that route?
I think, yeah, I think it sounds a bit cheesy, but I did follow my heart. And I just went for what I believed in and what I love to do. And I just, my whole ethos is wanting to put the soul back into fashion, and sort of the antithesis of fast fashion. And I want my customers to just love what they wear and to treasure it for years to come, and not to throw it out, and to combine it with new things every season, so it forms a continuing story. So I think, yeah, it's just being true to myself.
And I must say, I love your collection, Jude. I have to confess that after our initial talk, I went and I browsed your website, and my credit card screamed for help because I started shopping. And I'm really excited about your show that's coming up in a few days. We'll talk about that later. Okay, Kang, I'm going to throw you the same question. Why did you decide to go down that sustainability route? Why did you decide to do what you're doing now? And what were the problems that you faced when you first started?
For me, frankly, I have to say, it didn't begin by me making a conscious decision to be sustainable or eco-friendly. I was working with, I started making a lot of fashion accessories at first. So I was working with all sorts of unconventional materials. And then I got working with upcycling plastic bags. And I guess I just sort of found myself on this whole path with upcycling plastic bag. So in the last couple of years, I started making bags as well. So that really helped to improve my work and get a bit more of my name out there, with more people wanting to get bags from me, specifically because they're made from plastic bags. And in that sense, the challenges, because I'm essentially working with trash, so there's still a stigma about, yee, that's made from plastic bags. Why is it so expensive? And I mean, over the years, I've had I'm a one-man show, so I'm the one producing all my work. So I went full-time in 2013. So ever since then, the first few years especially, I've been having to explain to people why my price points are like that, like trying to educate the consumer. And then recently, I just feel like, can I just do my work in peace and let me do my fabulous things? And then if you get it, you get it. If you don't, then like, please go buy your ASOS or Taobao or something. So, but in the last couple of years, I have to say, yeah, there's I had the chance to work with like musicians, especially Inch. So she also helped me to learn more about sustainability along the way. So I mean, I work with a range of materials, but now it's really all plastic. I believe that's what makes my work special, and the final product is full of my heart and soul. And yeah, as what Jude said, it's just going with your gut feeling lah. So yeah, definitely, yeah, I see me just doing this for the foreseeable future.
Well, that's amazing. And I know you also have the support of Tan Keng Hua from Crazy Rich Asian. She's a big supporter of your brand as well. Um, and I must say that in the past few years, I've seen you grow because of the support of celebrities. So, my next question to all three of you is, how important is it to have a public face endorse your brand, endorse your ethos, endorse what you're doing in order for it to be a bit more mainstream? Let's start with Stephanie. What do you think?
Um, yeah, I think it's a good question. I think for us, we have been working with influencers, and we're doing it more and more now, actually, to tap into different audiences and to help to show them that actually this kind of lifestyle can be really easy and it's important work. But yeah, I think it is important to work with people who are aligned as well with the story and with the message, but also yeah, to be able to tap into a different type of audience, and beautiful benefit of amplification of the message. So I guess for us, we do it more for bigger impact and help to educate up into audiences that maybe aren't so connected to sustainability yet, or voices from around the world to our Asian audience, I think is also really important. So they can hear different perspectives and they can get access to these people that maybe they've been following for a while and they want to, be able to see them and hear from them in a different kind of way.
What about you, Jude? Have you actively gone out and sourced for celebrities, influencers to endorse your brand and to endorse your ethos in order for people to accept the fact that you are a sustainable designer that thinks responsibility?
Yeah, I feel that for us, the mainstream route didn't work quite as well. I think when we reached out to the mainstream media, the response wasn't as impactful as, say, targeting certain like more interesting and like less well-known like bloggers and personalities and like people we really connect with and really understand our brand, and that has been a lot more effective for us. And I think mainly also our customers through our store, like just getting to know them and their lifestyle, um, and just the word of mouth, that has been the best thing for us.
Right. Okay. Now, we've talked about using celebrities and using influencers, and um I do know that, especially for Kang, someone like Inch Chua, someone like Tan King Hua, they truly, truly believe in your message as well. But what do you think of greenwashing? Brands that use green as a marketing tool, but who are actually not green. What must a label do in order to qualify as a green business? And how do you tackle the issue of greenwashing, Stephanie?
Greenwash is massive, and I think it's such an important topic because it's so confusing for so many people. I think what makes a green brand, the way that I look at it is, can you navigate very easily on their website and read about everything that you need to know about the brand? So obviously for sustainable brands, you need to be looking at the ethics, the materials that they're using, what they're focusing on next. And I always advise brands that we're working with that it's really good to be very transparent on your website. So to really say, look, this is what we're not doing so well, and this is what we're working on, because that just builds so much trust. If I don't have to ask questions, if I can go to a brand's website and I can read everything and I have no questions left, that is a very good sustainable brand in my books. That's being transparent, is very openly declaring, I'm on a journey and I want to take you as my customers or my audience with. What is really bad and confusing is a lot of these big brands and even some fast fashion brands are kind of blurring the lines because there's so many different words and I guess buzzwords, but also different definitions on stuff. So they kind of tend to focus on a few things. And I think the mass consumer potentially sees that and it's like, oh, wow, they're doing this. That's really good. And then they get confused because they're being sort of greenwashed to exactly that. And that creates a lot of confusion, and that also really doesn't help, I guess, the bigger movement and the bigger mission of a lot of the brands things the way. So for me, I think, yeah, we've got to be very careful about greenwashing, but I think it's really, as much as it is on the brands, it's up to us asking the right questions. If you can't find the right
Yeah.
information or you want to challenge a brand, just email them. The more that we hack brands and ask them these questions, the more that their management and their boards and everything else has to listen and be like, hey, we got to start addressing this because we're getting a lot of questions about this. So we still,
Yeah.
as consumers, can vote with our wallet, but also our voices. It's really in starting to, get more clarity in these very murky waters.
Jude and Kang, have you ever been accused of using the eco message as a marketing ploy? And how do you address that? Jude.
Yeah, for me, I never really use the eco message so much as more about my brand being artisanal and handmade and ethically made. But the eco element does come in with like the natural fibers that we use and the local fair labor and also the way that we transport our goods to the customer in the most eco-friendly way. Um, yeah, but I think I really agree with Stephanie that it's important to be really transparent and we've learned so much from our customers and the questions they ask us and always like growing and improving with each season. And I think it's just amazing like what you get from your customers when you listen to them. Um, and yeah, it's still a journey. We're still learning every day. So yeah.
What about you, Kang? I remember you as And when I first started to get to know you, I was very intrigued by the kind of jewelry that you used to make with chainmail and cable ties. And that became your signature, and now plastics are your signature. Have you ever been accused of using this as a marketing ploy? And how do you answer your critics?
Thankfully, I don't think I have a lot of haters out there that's like really pinpointing me or hating on me. Plus, I'm a struggling artist, okay? I don't have budget for marketing. So I'm not using the word sustainable or eco-friendly to really market my work. And at this rate that we are going, this word sustainable, in my opinion, just became a bit vulgar, like. But anyway, let's just talk about myself. For me, my work is very focused on the upcycle quality of it. The point that I'm using upcycled and unconventional materials. For me, it's about my process from turning trash into treasure. So really just manipulating the raw plastic into something extraordinary. So that would be my main selling point rather than the sustainable portion being the forefront. I mean, the sustainable part definitely comes in after, like, even for myself, I'm also still learning along the way as I get to know more people. Like, I have students from the universities doing environmental studies that are donating plastic bags to me. So I started following them on social media, and they are quite
Right.
active, and I learn as I go along lah. Yeah. So hopefully, like, people who support my work, they also learn along the way. Yeah.
Right. You know what, Kang? I do agree with you that the word sustainable has been bandied around a little too much. Okay, I speak from personal experience because you know that the front row has taken on a very responsible, inclusive, eco-friendly, sustainable platform. And it's because of people like Stephanie Dixon. You know, we go back a long way. We worked on Fashion Week together, and when she started Green is the New Black, I started to follow her and listen to what she said. Last year, I worked on a project, the Singapore FinTech Festival, that took on a sustainable slant as well. And the more I learned about it, the more I realized that as a show producer, was contributing to this pollution, contributing to this waste. But one of the things we struggled with at the start of the front row was whether we were exploiting the word sustainable, and that's kind of the reason why we were very careful with the curation of the designers. The designers are either people who have adopted this and practice what they preach, or designers who want to pivot their business and are in the process of pivoting it. So I totally agree with you, Kang. Okay, one question I need to ask all of you. Recently, in Business of Fashion, there was an article about how online businesses are actually contributing to the carbon footprint and are not very sustainable because of the way they transport materials and all that. And I know, Jude, you spoke about this a little earlier on. Let me direct this question first to Stephanie. What do you think of this? Do you think it's a double-edged sword that online businesses help to reduce help to increase the sustainability of fashion, but at the same time it's contributing to its to the demise of the earth? What are your thoughts on this?
It's such a hard thing to kind of begin to unpack because I guess it really depends on what you're comparing it to. So I think if we're talking about the scale or the journey of sustainability, the most sustainable thing you can do is wear what's already in your wardrobe or clothes swap with friends or support and buy local because the footprint's going to be so much smaller. So if you're living in Melbourne, then you should be buying from Jude, or if you're in Singapore, buying from Gang. But obviously, especially somewhere like Singapore, everything is imported, and so there's a lot of stuff that we get shipped here. And so I think at the end of the day, if you go to a store in Singapore or buying something online, it's still being flown in here unless it's from a local brand. And so it really depends on the footprint that you're talking about. Everything that we have, no matter, even if it's the most ethical, the most using all natural fibers and everything, they still have a footprint. It's still an energy, time to build these things, resources to grow that material. So everything has a footprint. It's just obviously obviously the more that there's packaging, and then if you're shipping it all the way well, you're going to be shipping it back if you're returning it and then getting a different size. I mean, this is super unsustainable. And I think, we just have to be very mindful and intentional about what we actually need, and then think about what's the most sustainable way that we can get that. And at the end of the day, if there's something that you really love and you want, and it's coming from halfway around the world, then you really need to be thinking offset personal carbon footprint. You can plant trees. There's so many different things that you can do to look at that to make it a little bit more neutralized in the process. But bring it to and questioning everything. I mean, fashion full stop has a massive footprint. So what are we comparing it to?
Yeah. Now, Jude, you talked earlier about trying to reduce that carbon footprint when you're shipping as well. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that, since you ship internationally?
Yeah, sure. I think we've just tried more in the past 2 years to find ways to lessen our footprint with getting our product to the customer. So we've switched to compostable packaging, and even down to our packing tape that's also biodegradable. Also, where we can, we use Sendle, which is a carbon neutral shipping company, and our packaging of the goods. We use paper and cardboard, which are all biodegradable as well. So we try our best to lessen our footprint in that respect. Yeah.
Okay, we've been talking about a lot of we've used a lot of sustainable centric terms, and to someone who doesn't know this or who is new to the greening of fashion, perhaps between the three of you, you'd like to explain some terms to our listeners. Let's start off with something that Jude has just mentioned: biodegradable. What is biodegradable clothing, for instance? Does anyone want to answer that? Jude?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if definitely, I know of labels in Melbourne who construct their product in completely natural fibers down to the thread, which can be either organic cotton or tencel. And that's amazing because the entire product, if you bury it in the ground, it completely disintegrates after whatever amount of time. So for us, we're not up to that level ourselves, but we just try to use natural fibers as much as we can. Yeah, but I think, well, biodegradable clothing means that if you choose to throw it out, or it wouldn't leave its mark on the earth.
Right. Okay, we also spoke about being ethical fashion, uh, or ethical products. What exactly are ethical products, Stephanie?
So ethical products really means kind of what it says. They're made in an ethical way, or in a way that basically looks after people, I think, and the planet as well. So it really means that everything from that is produced, the way that it gets to you, and also who's making it is all looked after. So if you see someone saying that it's an ethical product, it means that no one was paid peanuts for it, or sort of in a ways which still exist massively all in Southeast Asia. Yeah, it just basically means that the products were made in a way where everyone along the value chain was looked after, and that's crazy that's normal. It's crazy that we demand this fast fashion, and someone somewhere along the way is paying the price for that, whether it's the
Hmm.
planet or people. And I think this is where the ethics part comes into fashion, and hopefully more pick up and realize it's just not acceptable anymore.
Yeah. And I think we need to be a lot more aware of ethical fashion and ethical practices as well. And I think this is also tied to the term fair trade, which I'm going to quote something from Zarin.com again. An arrangement designed to help producers in developing countries achieve better trading conditions. So I think we need to be a bit more aware of the origins of where our products come from. Stephanie, you mentioned about fast fashion as well. What exactly is fast fashion? What qualifies as fast fashion? Does anybody want to explain this?
Yeah, that
Jude,
are
Jude.
made very, very quickly. Oh, sorry.
Okay, Stephanie.
I think there's a bit of a delay.
No
Jude, do you
worries.
want to take this one?
Sorry. Oh, what? I didn't get that question.
Okay, we're talking about fast fashion. What exactly is fast fashion?
Ah, I would classify it as throwaway fashion. So something that you wear for a season or even for a day or a week, and you just wear it out for an occasion maybe, and then it gets forgotten or just tossed. Um,
Right.
and usually made of synthetic fibers, I would say, and also made in a non-sustainable way, usually with very cheap labor.
All right. Now, one other thing that we talked about earlier, which I think is front and center of Kang's philosophy, is upcycling. Kang, do you want to talk to us about upcycling and explain exactly what upcycling is?
So upcycling as opposed to recycling, so it's literally the next level up. So we're taking either a scrap or discarded material and upcycling it into a product that is of higher value than its original. Therefore, up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So now that we've mentioned upcycling, I'm going to show you the outfit which I'm wearing. Now I'm going to stand up so if my head gets cut off, I'm not important. My clothes are important. Look at the jacket which I'm wearing, and oh god, I'm gonna destroy this entire set. And this bag which I'm carrying. Now this jacket is from a label called IKV, and this is their philosophy when they are about to design a new collection that is centered around a fabric, say denim or camouflage. They put out a call on social media asking for people to donate these fabrics to them, and they design the entire collection based on around what they've collected. And once it's sold, it's sold. So this is a jacket that was completely constructed from donated fabrics. And because IKV is a collaboration between a Singapore designer and a French designer, of course, before the lockdown, they were collecting garments from both sides or from both continents, and they were creating collections based on that. And I think that was a business model that really intrigued me because I've never seen a business run that way before. But this is a wonderful example of how you can think out the box and create amazing fashions. This bag, Kang, would you like to tell us where this bag is from?
Yeah, of course. I made it. I made the bag. I
Now,
have
if you
the I
look at
have the
this, oh, wonderful! This
the
bag is
sister
made
piece.
from right. This is made from discarded plastic bags, and if you feel it, it feels like reptile skin. So, if you look at something and you don't know the origin of it, this is what you should be buying. Something that you feel has value. But I do think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, three of you. Do you think that some people look at an item and think, okay, this is made from discarded plastic bags, so therefore I'm not going to buy it? This is made from scrap materials, or this is made from ethical fabrics or runoffs, so therefore I'm not going to buy it. Is that a problem that Jude and Kang you face? Let's start with Kang.
For me, it's important that my final product does not look like trash. That is the
Right.
that's the one thing. It can be made of trash, but the final product cannot look like trash. It's there's a saying. It's handmade, not homemade. But even now, I feel the word handmade or handcrafted also has become a bit overused and vulgar. So it's like bye to those words. For me, yeah, just focus on having the most perfect finish I can achieve on my pieces. So that's the way to show how actually trash materials can really truly become something beautiful.
Right. So people need to get away from that bias and value the product for what it is. Now, Jude, your things are handmade. What do you have to say about that?
um, yeah, I think there's a lot to say. It's I believe it's well made, you know. It's I take a lot of pride in how everything is finished and you know, making sure that each seam is perfect so that it will last for, you know, many years. So I believe yeah, it's you know, you get what you pay for. um yeah, and definitely like I agree with Kang as well. It's like taking a humble material and making it, you know, magnificent is takes a lot of skill, and I think if anyone can't see that, then you know, it's really not for them.
I mean, I absolutely agree with you, and I can't wait to show off my new car, Jude clothes during your fashion show. Hang on, I will announce. Let me take my phone out of my Kang bag. Now, Jude is showing on the 27th of August. That's on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Singapore time. And Kang's sustainability workshop is exactly a week from now. It's on Saturday, the 29th of August at 2 p.m. And the show that I was talking about, IKB, follows the Kang workshop at 3:30. There is a show in between, but IKB show is on the same day as Kang's sustainability workshop. So I do hope that you would tune into these shows. They have absolutely amazing ideas. Okay, let's move on. Uh, there is a concept recently, of late, of rental clothing. Now, what is rental clothing? Essentially, it's a business model in which clothes, especially clothes for special occasions, can be rented. This is touted as a sustainable fashion business. But as fashion designers, accessory designers, what do you think of this? Let me throw this to Jude first, and then to Kang, and then I'd like to hear your thoughts too, Stephanie. So, Jude.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. It's definitely a big trend in Melbourne as well. There's a store called Recycle Boutique, which has a few. It's almost become a chain store now in Melbourne, and it's a great way to find designer clothing at you know, cost-effective prices. And yeah, I like that, you know, we have that culture here to like reuse, reduce, recycle with our clothing. Yeah, I think it's great.
Kang, what are your thoughts?
I think I think most rentals in rent like wardrobe rentals, they are more for occasion wear, like gowns and tucks and whatnot. But I think there's a few services that's providing like daily, day-to-day wear as well, which I think is quite good because it really, I think, end of the day boils down to the the consumption habits. It's can we not be so obsessed with having new things all the time? As in, I think
Yeah.
most of the things you want or need are already out there. So all these like rental services and swapping services, I think like perfect. Definitely it will try to change the consumption habits of the masses. Yeah.
And I'd like to add that I think an amazing thing that I've noticed of late is how women have been wearing the most gorgeous gowns. Celebrities have been wearing the most outrageous, avant-garde fashions, and they've been carrying your bags down the red carpet, and wearing your accessories down the red carpet, mixing sustainable treasure from trash and red carpet lux. So I think that's an amazing thing that you don't have to actually match your red carpet dresses with high jewelry, and I think that is an amazing thing that you have achieved, Kang. So well done. Okay, Stephanie, what do you think of rental clothing, the whole business of rental clothing?
I love it. I think it's great. I actually rented a dress for my engagement party. So I think it's nice in a few different reasons. One, you can get access to dresses at a more reasonable price, and just pay what you'd maybe pay for a fast fashion dress. Especially for special occasions, most people don't want to wear the same thing more than once. But it also gives you more access to clothes and that kind of thing, which I think is really cool. I also think that it's great for people who describe there's like subscription services now for rental where you can get like 3 or 5 pieces a week and you can wear different things. I mean, that it's hopefully saving, it's helping to feed the people who would go to a fast fashion store every week and purchase new items because they're just in that habit. At least now they're getting fresh wardrobe, but it's being used multiple times. The life cycle is extended of the clothes. And as Kang rightly said, they're starting to change their behavior. And that's honestly sometimes the hardest thing to do when it comes to sustainability is getting people to actually shift and try something different and change. So if that's helping them to get one step closer to living a more sustainable life, but still giving them what they need for now and the convenience, then
All right. Before we end off this really interesting session, oh God, we could just go on and on and on forever. I'm going to throw myself under the bus and ask all three of you about your thoughts on the sustainability issue versus fashion shows. Do you think fashion shows, as they've always been done, should we think of the past? We should do away with them. We should adopt a model like the front row, digital, for instance. And do you think it's going to work? Let's start off with the designers who had shows or who is going to be showing on the front row. Let's start with the Kang. Okay, since you've just showed on the runway, what are your thoughts?
I think the virtual format works. We really don't need a physical show. I mean, it's still fun, for people to go out, see and be seen, but just to showcase pieces, I think a virtual setting is actually perfect. We're not wasting tons of materials on, I don't know, like banners and like printed invites and like whatever marketing wastes so much materials lah, basically. So everything that can be digitized should be digitized as much as possible. So yeah, definitely I love the virtual format. Yeah.
What about you, Jude? As a fashion designer, do you think that the virtual realm, the virtual platform works very well for you? Or do you think, despite the fact that fashion shows are extremely wasteful and damaging to the environment, as a fashion label, it's the be all and end all? You have to do a fashion show.
I feel, yeah, well, especially after this year, what we've been shown is that there's so many more new and exciting ways to show your work rather than traditional fashion show. And I think, like, for example, this event is really amazing what you guys are doing. Um, and I think it's definitely the way to go. I feel that it's much more inclusive and you can reach a much wider range of people. And I think that fashion shows shouldn't be elitist. Like I think, they should be there for everyone to experience. And like for us, because we love people to feel and see our clothes in real life, like I believe that like events are still good, but not traditional runaway events. I believe in like more personal, like meet the designer, like try stuff on. I believe for us anyway, I think that's the way to go.
Well, without revealing too much, wait for Jude's show. It's an absolutely amazing show, and it's set in a completely different setting. It's going to change your perception of how fashion shows can be presented. That's on Thursday, so don't miss that show. And again, of course, it's an amazing collection. So tune in and start shopping before I buy everything. Right now, Stephanie, we got to know each other through Fashion Week, so I think we've come full circle because me being a lot more responsible has partly been influenced by your thoughts. You're starting off the Conscious Festival, Green is the New Black, and educating the public and educating people like me about changing our habits and our lifestyles. So, what are your thoughts on Fashion Week, fashion shows? I know you touched about this really briefly at the start. Do you think we should do away with fashion weeks, or we should change it to a completely digital format like this? Or are there ways that fashion shows can be eco-friendly and responsible?
Yeah, I think as echoing kind of what Jude was saying, this year has, I think, really shown how wasteful and unnecessary a lot of fashion weeks are. I think obviously there is the beauty of seeing and touching, and they're always going to be a little bit magical just for the human connection. I think we need to be with each other sometimes, and there's something quite magical about obviously seeing clothes up front and kind of in a fashion show setting. But I loved what Jude was saying about the fact that now it's so much more inclusive, and I think this year has just shown us how much we can do digitally. To go and can actually just see them online, and you can see them moving in a different way. And I think, well, I'm really hoping that everything that was brought to light this year is actually going to massively move forward the fashion industry in terms of their sustainability, how to sort of connect. And I think that opens up a lot of space for creativity and sort of like an exciting new space. And I think it was even Business of Fashion had like a full page ad, and it was questions and fashion weeks and everything. And I think it's just so important. I think there's way too many seasons, and I think that's almost even a bigger problem than the fashion weeks themselves, because of the production timeline, because sure that gets crucial aspect of the industry to be able to produce that, and then getting them shipped, and that whole cycle. I mean, it needs to be questioned and reimagined. So I think this is hopefully the beginning of deep conversation to the entire industry.
Well, I mean, thank you very much. I do share all your opinions as well, the same opinions, and that's one of the reasons why we started the front row, because we felt that fashion weeks were very, very wasteful. Fashion weeks were damaging to the environment, and this is the new way, and this is the way with as well. So with that, thank you very, very much, Stephanie, Jude, and Kang, for being our guests today on this very interesting talk. Do remember to tune in to Jude's show, which is on Thursday, the 27th at 8:30 p.m. right here on the front row. And Kang is giving a sustainability workshop on Saturday, that's the 29th at 2:30 p.m. So don't miss these really interesting programs right here on the front row, as well as the other fashion shows. All the designers that are on the front row have got sustainable messages. They've either got sustainable businesses, or they are pivoting towards a responsible business model. So with that, thank you very much for joining us. My name is Daniel Boy for the front row.